Hey, this is Sean Atkins, and I'm here for a song.
Took my hand and brushed my tears away. You washed my bloody knees. Let me run for 5 more minutes through December. Tell me, push me higher on the swings. Planted flowers for your mother. Never knew her by a voice. Just a name cut on the stone, struck from history. Wasn't given any choice. Now I plant my flowers for you, as I lament our hardened hearts. Stubborn silence stretched for years, though you stole from me. You gave me everything should end in silence. If you got nothing warm to say, I never could have been the family that you wanted. We're a family just the same. Need a minute to collect myself in the quiet of the grave. There are some things that the casket couldn't say. We still share a name. We still share a name.
So it's kind of about the give and take between family, and when you're young, like you were saying before, when you're young, you're more or less a vampire when in regards to money and food and clothing. Like you can't bring anything to the table. You're essentially relying on people who presumably have feeling for you.
Right.
But then as you get older and your parents become less and less capable, then they become the vampires, and it kind of swings. So I think that's the biggest part of it. It's also, it's pretty autobiographical. I never met my grandmother.
Okay.
She had cancer when I was really young, and my parents are both in the medical field, so they were always. My mom is never recovered from that, because apparently it was like a cancer that today, by today's standards, is like a no big deal. But they didn't catch it in time, and it was in the the early 80s or mid 80s or whatever. So just whatever.
I love the. I definitely feel like you were talking about how parents care for kids and then kids end up caring for parents. Like I love that the cyclical nature of things in general and life. And like I used to cover this song by Leonard Cohen called "The Butcher," and I used to intro it by saying this song's about circles, right? It's like and I feel like this song, like it starts out like where there's all this childhood imagery, and then it seems like by the end that narrator is approaching their own death. So it's like I feel that cyclical nature in the craft of the song.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I think you did a really
and
good job.
it's honestly one of the most vivid memories of my childhood, because my mom went to the cemetery all the time.
Okay.
Like we would have new flowers, and I don't even think I remember what she was doing. Like, because once you plant the flowers, you think that's it. But she would like go get a bucket and water them, and it would be like hours. It felt like hours. Maybe I was just a child.
Yeah.
But there was a reverence that she had towards it, And to me, I was just like running, like the headstone scene. This is probably terrible to say, but I was a child, so we get a pass, right?
Yeah.
But I was like jumping on the headstones of not only my grandparents but everyone else's,
Right.
you know, and trying to play that, the grass is lava game where you're jumping from headstone to
for sure.
headstone.
Yeah.
And
there's like a child innocence in that, and also I feel like that in that situation where you, as a child, you have an intuition and know something heavy is happening, there's also like an escapism that comes through play, and so you're like even kids you might not know, they're still in tune to the fact that like something heavy is happening, and so therefore your self-defense mechanism might switch to play.
I feel like it still is.
Yeah, I joke in heavy situations.
Sure.
I joke about
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like
People like, you're making me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like a gallows kind of humor, you know?
Yeah,
I
for sure.
feel that. I feel that, brother.
I love the imagery you use here. Lament our hardened hearts.
Yeah.
And then stubborn silence stretched for years. Like the alliteration in both of those lines I think are really beautiful.
That's very much my relationship with my mom, like I'll come around, I feel like it's one of those things where for the past probably 10 years, when I leave wherever they are, they're like, where are you going? I'm like, out. And it's become like a family joke. So now she asks, expecting that answer, and of course she gets it. And, my dad chuckles slightly
It's
below
like
his breath.
your catchphrase now?
Yeah, it's just become part of our family dynamic.
Yeah.
So I'm not a great talker in the first place, and I'm terrible at expressing myself other than when I sit down to write. And I don't know if you've, so let me ask you this, because I don't know what other people's lenses are like, but are you able, so when I need to tell my parents something that's like very serious, very serious and very sincere, I find that I can't. It's hard for me to open up to my family in a way that it's not hard to open up with my friends. So,
Okay.
And I don't know if other people feel that or if that's a thing.
I think there's a difference between our given family and our chosen family.
Sure.
And I feel like also, there's a Tom Waits line where it's like somebody dribbles out facts of their life like small change on strangers.
Sure.
Like it's easier to share with people that it wouldn't make a difference than it would be the person who could actually change something.
That is for sure. When it's much easier to talk to a stranger, and it's much easier to talk to someone that you. It's a weird gap, right? Because it seems like your family should be here, but I feel like stranger, good friend, family. It's very, I don't know. There's something wrong with it.
It is interesting. No, like it's a really interesting thing, the way that we hold our family at a distance. And I feel like the same way that I think that has to do with your family dynamic and how you set that up, right? And that comes from how you're raised, and there's a way to get around that. Like my sister went to school for counseling, and I've done a lot of self-exploration. So when we talk, it's really like, this might sound like this, but I'm not meaning it in this way.
Yeah.
But I want to express this. Like when we talk, it sounds like it sounds guarded, but it's actually us trying to keep each other's feelings in mind and not saying something offhandedly that gets misconstrued. But I also think that we give our family the shittiest parts of ourselves. Like we go to work and we give hey, pleasantries and all that shit, and you go home and you're like, leave me alone. I want to be, and I think that that's just a human flaw that we expect them to tolerate us the most. But
well, yeah, like any close relationship, you just expect that you can be unhappy in front of certain people,
and you don't have to put in the work.
Right.
Yeah. Or when you're hanging out with someone you don't know, you're like, oh, you try to keep it rolling and try to keep it jovial, and there's certain places.
Much like I'm doing now. I'm gonna walk away from this conversation and be like miserable about my day. Start kicking people down there.
Don't kick people.
We'll see.